Okay, another exciting day at Rotec. So we've got this customer's come in with his 19 registered Jabiru J170 6-cylinder Gen 4 power, and he's got the carburetor that came with it has been running extremely rich, and there's very little scope. The carburetors that come with them now are not Bings. They're sort of a Chinese sort of knockoff of some carburetor, and frankly they're not as good. I don't think the Bings are a great carburetor. I think our TBIs are better in every respect, but nonetheless the Bings are better. We have a lot of Bing parts at Rotec, and so it was decided the customer was happy for us to remove the Chinese carburetor and put a Bing carburetor on it, which is what we're doing. Now, while we're in the process of that, to get to and you can see the Bing carburetor has been installed down there. So that was a bit of a process because we had to sort of, well, thankfully the cable's matched, and we could use the original Jabiru bracket there. So it's worked out pretty good. You can see I've made a choke adapter there. But anyway, while we were doing all this, I noticed we had to remove the distributor cap, which you can see is now here. So you can see the distributor cap there. And I noticed that the brush in the cap, if you can see it there, that's where it used to go, was very short. Now here it is here. So there's the brush in the cap. Now I haven't actually seen that before. It's extremely short. It's worn away. That's probably only a fraction of what it used to. Well, what it should have looked like is the one next to it. So that's full length, and that's been worn away. And of course, that hasn't actually worn away. It's been arcing. So I'd say what's happened is the brush has become stuck, and then it's been arcing across to the rotor button. Now this is the rotor button out of that cap, and as you can see, it looks absolutely terrible. Now that blackness on there is arcing. And of course, as soon as it started arcing, it just got worse and worse and worse, and that's what's eroded away the rotor button. Now this, of course, is not going to help starting. So yeah, we'll fix all that. So there you go. Haven't seen that before, but yep, that's been arcing, and no doubt because it hasn't been touching and it's been jumping across, sparking across, and of course that's accelerated the erosion. Anyway, we'll fix that, and it should be a lot better and start a lot easier too. All right, a bit more on this distributor cap issue. We took the other cap off, and lo and behold, same problem. There's virtually no brush left. It's very eroded, carbony, and tiny stick out. That's just not enough. And similarly on the rotor button, if you see down there, you can see it's not shiny. Normally they're quite shiny, aren't they, Tony? You know, they're rubbing and they don't show any wear. That brush is not touching that rotor button, and so it's jumping. The spark is jumping, and this is on the other side now. So both of them are suffering from the same problem. Now this is a Gen 4 engine, so that might be something that you need to keep an eye on as a possible problem. That brush is not running on that rotor button. Normally when a distributor brush is running on the rotor button, it'll last for 100 years because it wears so slowly because it's in permanent contact, and it's just, there's just no wear. What that is a sign of is sparking. That is arcing across, and then of course that will substantially and rapidly wear the carbon brush, and of course corrode and erode away the rotor button, and of course you're getting less and less surface. It's requiring more and more voltage to jump that arc, and it's robbing you of a healthy spark. So yeah, that is a problem. We've got two of these brushes now that are basically down to a nub, and if we did just get that out, Tony, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. Right, I've just pulled the brush out. Look, where is it? There. Nothing left. There's nothing left, and it's all corroded and arcing. It's not rubbing. It's not running on it like a brush. It's literally jumping. Yeah, so that's no good. Yep. So that rotor button's going to have to come off. Now, one of the problems with these rotor buttons, you see they're screwed on and they're glued on. So when you're getting them off, you've got to be really careful because you'll smash them because they're glued on as well. Now, that's a Jabiru thing. Gluing rotor buttons on, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so I've got to get that off and sort that out. Will be significantly better. Again, this just came in for a few bits and bobs, but mainly the Bing conversion, which we've done. But now we've got this ignition problem. Now inside the cockpit here, if that'll open, there we go. So inside the cockpit, what I've done is I've put a AFR meter so we can actually measure his mixture. But the customer came in previously complaining of an excessive fuel burn and high richness. So I've put an AFR in there so we can at least monitor what the Bing's doing. Now, if this had a Rotec TBI, he could actually control the mixture, and you'd be able to verify that with your air-fuel ratio meter. But this air-fuel ratio meter is here just so we can monitor what his Bing's doing, and it'll also help us tune the Bing, get the correct jetting and needles in it. And where that previously there was a voltmeter there, so that's been removed, and our AFR's gone there, and I've gone and put in a neat little digital voltmeter up the top there. So that's all very nice. Right, we've got some work to do. All right, just a little bit further on this rotor button issue. Again, these may seem like small, frivolous things, but these are super important. I mean, these things can bring you down. I mean, these may seem elementary to mechanics out there, but to the average person, these are important features. And I believe we may have found a weak link in the Jabiru, or a problem in the Gen 4 engine, because I find it hard to believe that 2 out of 2 you would have this on the same engine. So both rotor buttons are showing arcing and not proper running on the rotor button. Now that middle area in the middle there, that should be smooth and clean, and the brush should be running on it continuously. Now I can tell you from my experience that the brush is not touching that. In fact, the spark is jumping across and causing arcing. And that is what's seen these 2 brushes, which run inside the distributor cap, which feed the spark for distribution to the center of the rotor button from the distributor cap, which is of course coming directly from your coil, your ignition coils, is not running. That brush here, now that's a full length brush there out of a new distributor cap, and that should be running directly on the center of that, and it should be no arcing at all because it's physically in contact. Now what's happening is that this is actually sitting off that, I suspect, I'm almost certain, and it's arcing from the brush to the rotor button, which is causing all this pitting, because that should be smooth with it constantly rubbing on it with no arcing. Because if the brush is in constant contact with the rotor button, there is no arcing. It's a constant contact. The arcing occurs when there's a gap and the spark jumps, and it will jump. And of course, once it jumps, it starts corroding and eroding, I should say, all the metal parts. And more so, look what it's done to the brush. It's made it go from that long to that long on both sides. On both the left and right hand mags, it's gone from being that long to that long. And here are the rotor buttons. Now, more alarmingly, what it's caused is it's caused an arc across here. You see that carbon track there? You can actually see, if you look really carefully, it's sort of split and worn away. Yeah, there, look at that. The spark is jumping and going into this area here where my fingernail is, see? And it's tracking across here, which means it's not going to the right electrode in this right cylinder. If the spark is leaving the rotor button here and not here, and not here, well then it's going to the wrong cylinder. You'll have misfiring and terrible running. Now this could be what's causing the person's to experience bad fuel consumption or inefficient fuel consumption because of the spark is not good or it's erratic. You'd think that would manifest itself in bad running or rough running, but who knows? But anyway, this is terrible, and this has happened 2 for 2 on both cylinders. And both brushes out of each the left and right distributor caps look like this. So what I'm going to do is buy 2 brand new rotor buttons, obviously, and set it all back up and make sure and verify through some depth measurements that the brush is in contact with the center of the rotor buttons at all times. Now, I suspect that they're not, perhaps even from brand new when it's put together, because you can't see inside the distributor cap, that it's inadvertently not touching the rotor buttons. So that would be something that Gen 4 owners could possibly inspect, because I find it hard to believe that I'd be 2 for 2 here on an engine that's not that old.